Blade and Sorcery. I know how much I poked at this game in my last video, but in complete honesty, this game is at the top of my favorites list on Steam. Now, for all the sandbox VR games out there, Blade and Sorcery is most definitely, in my opinion, the best option. It has an amazing graphics quality no matter where you are. Now, as of right now, I am showing clips from PC VR gameplay. Standalone Quest doesn't have as good of quality, but hell, it's actually really good for a standalone Quest. Now, let's talk about the fighting. The physics with the fighting is actually very good. No matter what weapon you use for it, it always feels like you're actually holding and or throwing it. Even punches have such a cool effect to them. For every punch, it does an extremely subtle, yet perfect amount of controller shake to the point where it feels as if you are actually punching something. Sword physics are off the charts when it comes to actual front-hand combat. Enemy parries are super fun to do, especially since the enemies get stunned after being parried, thus leading to some very cool finishers to pull off. The bow mechanics are some of the most realistic I've seen in a VR game. From the pullback to the release, it full-on feels like you are shooting an actual bow. And depending on what arrow you use, it can go through sets of like 4 or 5 people. If you are truly up to it, then you can enhance your blades with spells that you unlock throughout the game. And my favorite part about them is that depending on the clothing items you wear, it determines strength, speed, agility, spellcasting, and defense. But always make sure to check what you buy, since an item can have great spellcasting, but horrid defense. The game relies a lot on your body and where you are hit. Certain vital areas do more damage to you than others, so a lot of the time you have to choose where you'd rather get hit, the face or your arm. Spells are very fun to use and can lead to some fun Elden Ring moves if you really do them right. Spells can be unlocked during the story mode of the game. Speaking of story mode, the story to the game is half and half for me. I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy playing through the story, because I most definitely did. A lot of the time it felt a bit tedious. Going through the same dungeons to go to the same place and fight the same boss over and over and over felt extremely repetitive. Luckily, there were other things to do, like go get money from fighting waves of enemies. In a sense, it started to make you feel like a damn bounty hunter. And if the story is too much for you, Sandbox is always a super fun option to do. With a Sandbox, you can unlock every ability and do whatever you want. You have full-on in-game mod menu, along with a cheats menu for things like infinite health, infinite mana, infinite whatever. The sole reason I love this game so much is simply due to the fact that it has an incredible sandbox system. Just hopping on to screw around with my favorite mods is so fun for certain times. Now, as for the enemies themselves, as they are fun to fight, they just don't give you that thrill of a challenge as many other games. Since it's mainly a sandbox, just a small punch to the face will have an enemy fall straight onto the floor. This could be taken in a good way though, since it makes it easier to throw and pick up people. It can lead to some very fun playthroughs where you just want to hop on and throw 30 people into the same wall. I think this game is very well developed, and at the thought of that went into the map making, and the Baron's shop building is just super into detail. The fun aspect gives you just a replayability that games like Battle Talent doesn't really give you much of. To fully tie all this together, if you are looking for a fun sandbox game that you can mess around in for hours and hours on end, Blade and Sorcery, I rate a 9 francs out of 10.